think a few people would like to have an update on how the Cozy project's going. So here's sort of a detailed look at what we've been up to for the past several months. The first thing we did when we came back was we hung the wings and got the bushings, which are these bushings right in here, bonded in. You got a lot of control system fabricated. We got these rods connected to the torque tubes that go forward for the roll control and the pitch control. The tubes that are in the fuselage I have out right now because we're done with that fitting. The other thing we did is we ran the rudder cables. As you may know, the Cozy only runs one cable. There's only one cable because there's a spring. This spring, I don't know if you can see that in there. Running that cable, in order to do that, you gotta take the rudders out. That's a mini project in themselves. Same with the ailerons. You got to take the ailerons out and fabricate all those, cut all these tubes to length, and get everything rigged as best as possible. This little deal here is a builder mod so that we can take this take the rudder cable out. We ran these tubes, which are knob flow, and the rudder cables run through those. We built the pitch trim bracket. So there's a lever here that is connected to two springs to this horn on the elevator. So we got that all bonded in. This is the roll trim, the center console here. This was all constructed. The landing brake in the plans is a manual device that goes in here, and so we're using an electric actuator. So this opened up some space, so we went ahead and built this little storage space. The throttle is going to go right here. See, speaking of the landing brake actuator, so that actually goes right in this area here. We tested that, and we realized that this bracket was needed to be redesigned. So we did that in CAD and printed it and made sure it all works, and then now we need to do it in aluminum. The other big project was finishing the interior pieces. So the two forward armrests were done, and the two rear armrests were done. And these guys all come out. The other thing that was done was the seats. So these seats were constructed left and right. These bulkheads were constructed and bonded in place, and those seat pans just kind of sit on top. The seat bottoms here are a piece of foam with one piece of fiberglass, and then you score it so it'll make the radius on the seat, and then you kind of tack it in place and then bond that top piece, and then it'll come out. So under here, this extra space, this is going to be where the fuse blocks go. In order to cut the holes and make sure everything was going to fit with the armrests, we had to make some decisions, or quick decisions, on what kind of stick grips we wanted. Somebody out there has modeled the T38F5 stick grip, and this is a good stand-in. Roll torque tube goes here. There's a bushing that sits here, a ball bearing bushing that sits here, and this was just a single piece of plywood, and it needs to be supported, so these bulkheads were constructed. This does not look like much from the outside, but this is a map pocket, which I actually designed, hopefully big enough that one could put a tablet in. There's also a little map packet on the other side. The rear armrests were also placed in, so I'll take this out. So like these brackets, the armrests are removable, so all these brackets had to be constructed and placed, and with those nut plates and all that stuff. There's another one of these torque tube brackets that was just a single piece of plywood that needed to be supported, so these bulkheads were constructed and placed in. The rear seats were also constructed, or mostly constructed. So you can see here, this just is the foam, and with the scoring marks in here. I haven't put the top piece on because I am not anticipating using 4 seats, so I'm going to leave this open for baggage. But I made it in case I change my mind. There's a bulkhead that goes here, and then the way this seat gets sort of affixed is with a couple of hinges here get riveted into the floor, and then the top sheet covers over the top fiberglass covers over the bulkhead that gets bonded in there, and that holds those seats secure. There's seat backs that extend from here up to here. Those are partially constructed. Again, I wasn't planning on using those. There's a couple of closeout bulkheads that go in this space, and got those built, as well as the 2 side pieces. These holes I bored for the brake lines, so I figured out how we're going to run the brake lines. This here is a bracket that the previous builder had put in for a electric actuator for the canopy. So we put the canopy on, and we test that. We decided that this hole here, which is for a locking handle, we're not going to use, so we're going to have to cover that up, and we're just going to be able to reach in through this hole over here to open up the canopy. So the next big project is going to be to build the strakes, which are the fuel tanks that go in this triangle space right here on both sides. Once we do that, it's going to be really hard to reach in, so what I want to do is get these windows placed, and reaching into the fuselage is going to be a pain in the neck, so I'll do the canopy first because it's easier to work. Here's the holes, a hole in the canopy. The plexiglass windows. Just taping these off is like a half-day project. You got to cover them with saran wrap, and then cover the saran, because saran wrap won't adhere to the plexiglass, because once we get it all ready, it could be a year or two before this tape comes off. So we don't want to just tape right onto the plexiglass, because it could become permanent. We don't want that. The saran wrap with this tape, and then you need a nice line. You take this piece, test fit it like so, and draw a line of where it's going to match, because it's going to make a nice paint line. So we use high quality electrical tape to make the final paint line, and then the whole thing gets covered with duct tape. Okay, so here we are working on this window. So this one's ready for bonding. You can see the duct tape, the black duct tape's there, and then if you maybe look close, you can see a line of the red masking, of the red electrical tape. That's the sort of final tape line. Let's see. We had to basically from here, what you do is you want to cut out about an inch back from here, and then partially, it turns out, up this side as well. Peel that back, and then route out the foam for about an inch, and then you can slide the window, which is oversized, into the resulting space, and then you clamp it all down. And of course the acrylic needs to be trimmed to fit, so that's a process too, just cutting the acrylic. But now the clamping, what we got to do is we got to take these clecos and place them all around, so figure out where they're going to have to play. So you drill these holes, you cut out these little, I don't know if you can see these little metal pieces of aluminum that have the right hole size, so that the cleco will have something to grab, and just sort of figure out the whole clamping process. This is ready to bond. What's going to happen now is take all this off. The clecos all need to be waxed, so that when we bond, the epoxy doesn't stick to the clecos. And then we mix up a batch of epoxy, and then put all the clamps in and hope for the best. So that's what we've been up to here in the cozy build. I'm going to do another video as we do the strakes, because we're going to use some interesting construction techniques for that, and want to document that. For more detailed information on the build with more photos and descriptions of the different steps, the link to my EAA build log is down below. Thanks.